Hey, welcome to Relation Shots, our weekly Q&A where we give real answers to tough questions, and we attempt to answer 7 questions in 7-ish minutes. So let's go.
What do you do if your spouse is married to their job? It comes before literally everything, and our family never sees them anymore. I feel like a single parent. Want me to take this one?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Been there.
Okay.
I don't really have an answer. I mean, like, it took you leaving your job.
Well, I think it's a tough deal, right? The answer is you try to have a discussion with them about what you feel like's missing. So I will say this. So I think sometimes it's tough because some jobs are demanding and do take you away. And at some point in the relationship, you have to make a decision. Is the quality of life that we want and the things we want to do in conflict with this job? And if so, let's discuss possibilities to do something different. But I think within the situation, because I know we had times like that as well, where I noticed there was times when I felt like my schedule was the same this 2 weeks as it was the last 2 weeks, but these 2 weeks are super frustrated. And I think some of that came from my lack of intentionality. So you can have the same schedule, but if the person who's working a ton is much more intentional to say, what are the things you need from me? And be intentional about trying to say, when I'm home and when I'm free, I'll try to step into these moments rather than just existing. I think you can have the same schedule, but feel like there's a lot more connection if you know the things you're supposed to be working on. So I would start, that's an easier thing to fix short term than go get a new job. So it is saying, hey, here's the things that I need and want from you. Is it possible they can be a lot more intentional with the time that they do have to try to meet you there, which may make the job not feel as bad until you can figure out a way to go a different direction?
I think it matters too, like if the spouse is married to their job because they're obsessed with their job, or if it's like they have to do that. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing it and you're neglecting your family because you love your job so much, or if it's because you have to do it, it makes a difference. Because
if you're going to get fired
right,
if you don't do it,
right.
Versus I could be home, but even when I'm home, I'm on my laptop because I really love it and I want to do it.
Right, or someone that just loves their job so much that they don't care about their family, you know?
This may be a whole different direction, but I think you also have to ask yourself, what environment do you provide for that person when they're at home? Because it may be they're choosing to work more because when they come home, they get crapped on and it's not a very validating or enjoyable environment. That may be part of it too. So, as always, start with a discussion.
But that wasn't the case.
I mean, I'm not saying...
You're not speaking from experience.
A hypothetical situation.
Okay. I have feelings for my friend, but I don't want to ruin our friendship. What do you suggest I could do to maybe let him know without actually saying it?
See, that's where I'm not... The game playing makes no sense to me.
Right.
If you have feelings for a friend, I think you share with them, hey... I love our friendship, but I would have even a desire to take it a step further. I don't want to make things awkward. So if you're not interested, I don't want to lose your friendship on behalf of presenting this information. But I don't know. You play games with like, how do you hint around? And if they don't get the hint, then you get hurt. I just think the whole game playing is dumb. So I think you tell them, hey, here's where I'm at. If they're not there, cool. Let's remain friends and keep going.
And you have to be willing to know that, like, if they're not there, like, that's on you. That's your personal thing because it's rejection, you know?
Yeah.
So,
no, I get that, but wouldn't you rather know?
Mm-mm.
One way or the other?
No.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay.
I'm probably the game player. Okay. Ending dates with people is really difficult for me. Even if I go on the first date and I don't feel like I have a connection, I still don't know how to end it because I start feeling so bad. What should I do?
Give them a high five instead of a hug. That will let them know probably not into me. No, again, we live in a world of text, so I wouldn't recommend it. But if you can't bring yourself to tell them in person you're not interested, shoot them a text. Just be honest. I don't know why would you feel bad? Maybe we have to dial back and go, are we going out on these dates expressing this is the first step to the romance that leads to marriage versus saying, hey, I'm just getting to know people. I'm not necessarily looking to jump into a long-term relationship. I'd love to hang out and build a friendship and see what happens there. Then maybe we're approaching. I think that's the problem with online dating is the first time you ever talk, it's already agreed upon we're both here to date. Whereas back in the old days, you meet somebody at work or school, you get to know them. So you have all this time to get to know personalities and friendships before you jump in. So it speeds it up. But I just think honesty is always the best policy. Hey, sorry I feel bad, but just doesn't seem to be one I'm interested in. The longer you put it off, the worse it gets.
I know, it's just I have such rejection issues, so like that would be so hard for me to hear. But no, they need to be honest.
I know,
I would just say do the text.
But
I wouldn't want to hear
Wouldn't
it.
you rather know now
Yes.
as opposed to 3 more
Yes.
dates where you're coming up with all kinds of other ideas and then get dashed?
Absolutely, I'm
Yeah.
not dating. This is why I'm not
Earlier is
dating.
better. Well,
I don't want to date
you're not
ever
dating
again.
because we're married.
No, I know, but like I don't ever want to date again because that sucks. I mean, not that
then-
dating sucks. Like I'm happy for people
Well,
that are
then-
dating, but
Treat me nice. And
Shut
maybe
up.
you don't ever
You're
have to.
whatever. Okay, so my spouse. This is us. My spouse and I got married young.
Don't out us every time.
Okay,
we
well,
want people to think
sorry.
we know what know what we're doing.
We got married really young, though.
We did too early,
Way too early.
but we made it.
Yes, by the grace
It's
of
a
God.
mess, but we made it.
Yes.
She was a mess, but we.
I
made
was
it.
a mess. I will own that. You can't even make fun of me because I will own it. Like I don't care. It was all me. I'm the problem.
Yeah, I'm a problem too. Go.
No, you're not. Whatever. He's not a problem.
Okay.
That's why he's the marriage expert.
I'm about to be a problem.
Do you know why he's the marriage? I figured it out. Like why you're the marriage expert because
Practice?
because you're married to like worst case scenario.
That's
and
what I
you're,
say. Practice over the years.
Okay, that's.
I know these things work. I'm like that Bosley, that hair thing. I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. You don't know that.
I don't know that.
It's a terrible joke.
That was bad.
Google it. Go ahead. We have a question?
My spouse and I got married young. I am a completely different person now, maturity-wise, spiritually, and even physically. How does the person I am now stay in love with someone very different than me, from goals to values to how we raise our kids, etc.?
Ooh, that becomes tough. See, here's the danger of if you're single, not establishing what is a priority, what your values are, what you're looking for, and where you're going. We all change some.
Absolutely.
Because you wouldn't, what I'm doing today, I had no idea, you had no idea 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you can't predict everything, but I think the core set of values is what helps you sustain. So I would say to that person, maybe it's time to try to regroup and come up with a new game plan. Let's sit down and go, we're different people, we value different things, but are there some common values and goals that you can both agree on that provide the foundation of the relationship? You may have some differences here and there, but are there some anchoring things that we can kind of agree upon that will drive us? Because otherwise, if you got 2 different sets of values, you're going 2 different directions, that's going to be tough to pull off. So I would regroup, new game plan. What are we in agreement upon, and where can we come together to kind of create a new path for ourselves?
Communication is huge for me. How do I get my spouse to talk and communicate more? I really think it would help us avoid 90% of the fights we get into if we just communicated.
Everybody says that. We just need to communicate good.
We don't. We communicate a lot.
Oh, I thought
Plenty.
we don't communicate good.
No, more than enough.
Some people are on their phones.
that
was a different video. All right, so this I think there's lots of different categories on this, so I'll hit a few. One is if you're not communicating well, put it on the calendar and set up specific times in which we will communicate, because if you don't have it on the calendar, it's not going to happen. Clearly, it's not happening. So it may be, hey, Tuesday, Thursday night at 8 o'clock, once the kids go to bed, let's sit down for 15 minutes and just connect. Maybe Sunday night, we have a staff meeting. Let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about the kids' upcoming sporting events, whatever it is. But you set aside times to say, these are communication times. That will help some. Then you got to think about what kind of environment are you providing for communication. So if you want to communicate all the time, so here's the difference between I'm more the communicator, but she's more the analyzer, planner, systematic person,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I don't like those conversations. I like relationship conversations. So
You just like the fun stuff.
yeah, the fun stuff. I don't like the business side of marriage. That gives me a headache.
Right.
A lot of couples are like that, and so what'll happen is if she's wanting to get all answers to all these questions, I'm going to avoid those conversations because they don't feel good to me, which is going to make it so we don't communicate, which makes it so then the few times we do communicate, you're going to have to get all the questions in, and then it just keeps cycling. So I think part of it is what kind of environment are you providing an environment that would welcome their conversation. So if you're always criticizing them, if you're always asking a bunch of questions they don't know the answers to, or whatever it might be, you may not be creating an environment where they want to step into communication. So I think you got to think about, and maybe even ask them, are there things I do that make it difficult for you to communicate with me? And then listen, because if you can eliminate those, they're going to be more apt to want to communicate. And then if you can schedule some times, those two things would help you at least start getting on the path, I think.
That's good. Another dating one. So, how can I protect my heart when dating? I'm 25 years old and I tend to get attached to people easily and think we're headed somewhere, but in my experience and my friends too, people ghost with no explanation pretty often. Like the text that you said.
Yeah, that you wanted to do, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Part of it, you got to protect your own heart. So if you're too early in a relationship giving too much of your heart, that's not wisdom. Build a friendship first. I think that you give access to different parts of your heart the longer the relationship goes and the more you feel you can trust them and you guys are connected on some level. So I don't know if it's one of those things where you just jump all in way too fast and give up your whole heart and go all in, and that's not a healthy place to be. Or maybe you're picking people that are probably not that great. But I think part of it is you communicating your expectations too, which is, if you're starting a relationship and you're starting to feel something, then, hey, these are my expectations for a relationship, because then the other person can bow in or out of that relationship, right? And so I think you may not be communicating what you desire. So they have one idea, you have one idea. And then when they finally get to the place of going, oh, they're already planning our last name together and our first 3 kids' names, I wasn't there, then they ghost you. So be clear about your expectations. Guard your heart a little bit if you feel like you're giving your heart away too quick. And then even I would take some time and evaluate why you need to keep getting in relationships. Like, is there something missing in you you're trying to find in a relationship? That's always going to be a setup for
That was going to be the thing I was going to say, because that's what it says, how do I protect my heart? And then I get attached too easily. So it's like they're searching for something.
Yeah, they're attaching themselves to something to get something that's missing. So I think you get yourself healthy, get some good friendships, and then you're not going to be as apt to attach, I don't think.
I think so too. Last one.
Oh, look at us.
Okay. Now that I am married, am I supposed to pursue my individual dreams and goals that the Lord placed inside of me, or should my focus now be on our purpose and calling as a couple primarily?
Both. I think part of the problem is, again, a lot of people are getting married with no purpose and not thinking about their purpose together either. And then somewhere down the road, they find it. And then now they realize the other person doesn't want to move to Africa and be a missionary. And they're like, well, they're holding me back from my purpose. So I think you can do both. I think you've got some individual things that you're passionate about. And I think whenever possible, you find things as a couple that you can put your energy in. But I think we should have enough energy to do both and figure out how to do that. Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, okay, good.
I agree.
Awesome. She agrees. See, that's how we need to end in agreement, because we're a happy couple.
You're so stupid.
So good. Awesome. Well, hopefully that was helpful. If you think that might help somebody you know, consider sharing this video with a friend. And as always, if we can help you in any way in your relationship, whether you're dating and want some premarital counseling, or you're married, I have an upcoming marriage masterclass. We also have an online course. You can see all that info in the description area below. Would love to help you strengthen and get better at relationships in your life. And until next time, we'll see you back here on Relation Shots.